In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Hey! It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, roll your ass!
Welcome to the All In Wrestling Review from Raw and Order WBU. I am your host, Detective Mark Smart, and I am surprisingly going solo tonight. JLB maybe will join us. I haven't heard from him yet to know for certain. DFA will not be here. He was not able to watch the pay-per-view. Fatherly duties kept him away. So it's just me tonight. I had the choice of either just go live by myself or wait until tomorrow night when maybe I'd have other people. I decided I'd just solo it here. So it's going to be a little different than we normally do. First, normally we do the review in a different way than other places, and that is we don't go through match by match and talk about here's what happened and here's what didn't happen. We normally do it as a worst match, best match, worst moment, best moment sort of a thing. But I can't really do that just by myself, because that's kind of a consensus thing where I have to get views from other people. Right. So I am going to do this in a more typical format tonight, where I'm going to go down one match at a time. I'm going to talk about the match a little bit. I'm not going to go like exactly play by play on it, but I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the things I remember from it. And then I'm gonna kind of go on and eventually give my worst and my bests on it. This may be a shorter episode than we normally do. We normally go 2 some hours on these, but since it's just me by myself, I'm gonna probably be a little bit shorter, because no one wants to just hear one person yammer for 2+ hours most of the time. Anyways, maybe you do. Hit me up in the comments if that's what you actually want to see. So but on that note, make sure if you do like this, especially if you like this particular stream, me going by myself, you hit us up in the chat. You'd click that follow button on Twitch or the subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching the replay, and you let us know what you're liking about this, and that you like it. If you really like it, you can subscribe to us on Twitch. It's the best way to support me, support us, I should say. Hey, Sawyer's back. Sawyer was with me at the All In watch along, although I say he, guess I never specifically asked gender, but I'm assuming he was not watching All In. He is a new wrestling fan who's just getting in on things. So thanks for joining, Sawyer. We're going to talk about what happened a bit. And if you have any questions like you did this afternoon, go ahead and raise them. It's all good. You may be hitting an ad break here in just a little bit, so if I disappear, I'll be back. But yeah, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and on YouTube, ringling that dingling if you want to see more of this sort of comment. We are going to talk a little bit about the 0 Hour Kickoff show. Mostly because we kind of have to. The 0 Hour Kickoff show had main event implications. It's a rarity for a kickoff show to have real world implications for the show. It's just not usually done. But so to start off, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match, Adam Cole and MJF challenging the going into this current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, Aussie Open. Aussie Open kind of got the hometown hero entrance, which is weird because they're as the name suggests, Australian, not British. But MJF and Adam Cole got the big pop from the crowd. They're the ones who everyone liked. So, this match, like, wasn't a barn burner by anyways, but it had everything that you kind of expected. The storyline, of course, going into this was that MJF and Adam Cole were facing off in the main event of the pay-per-view later. And so, but then they were also tag teaming on this. So would they be able to coexist as a tag team, knowing that a few hours later they were going to be going against each other? Was something going to happen during this that would set up later in the show? That's what I fully expected. I expected a rogue boot to the face to cause a bunch of havoc between them or whatever. But that's not what we got. We got a clean finish. We got the kangaroo kick, the double clothesline, and a pin with a 1-2-3 where MJF and Adam Cole pinned Aussie Open to get the win and the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship, which is a different way. I didn't expect them to go that way with the story. I really didn't. I expected there to be something during this match that would set up distrust during the main event. And there wasn't really that. So that was kind of cool. It's, I say this, wrestling doesn't often surprise me with how they do things, and when they do, I truly, truly, truly love it. That's one of the best things in the world for me, is when wrestling can do something that I don't see coming. And I did not see MJF and Adam Cole actually winning the tag titles during the pre-show. I didn't see the tag titles changing hands during the pre-show, let alone MJF and Adam Cole being the ones to win it. So that was cool. It was surprising to me. It was shocking, and that was really cool. Afterwards, the cameras did take a moment to linger on the fact that Mercedes Money was in the crowd. Mercedes Money, formerly known as Sasha Banks in the WWE, currently one of the hottest, I guess, sort of free agents. Last I heard, she still had a deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but that it was a per appearance deal. It wasn't long term, and eventually she's going to be free to go wherever she wants, and she may stay with New Japan. But this, to me, hints that we're probably going to see her in AEW sooner rather than later. In the post-show media, Tony Khan was asked specifically about it, and he did say she is still not cleared to wrestle. And so by not being cleared to wrestle, you can't really say there's going to be a match coming here or there. That being said, the fact that he knows that she is not cleared to wrestle in and of itself says something. It says that Tony Khan has been in contact with her about her capabilities at this time. So expect to see Mercedes Money, aka Sasha Banks, showing up in the AEW circles sooner rather than later. Probably not as soon as next month or next weekend at the next pay-per-view, but sooner. After that, we had the FTW Championship match, Hook versus Jack Perry, formerly known as Jungle Boy Jack Perry. This was an FTW rules match, meaning, no real rules. Just fight until someone wins. Of course, Hook, being the son of Taz, angry that Jack Perry wanted to retire the FTW Championship, angry that Jack Perry is a douche, and so wanted to win it back. And in the end, did win it back. He reclaimed the FTW Championship with his dad watching from commentary, which is nice. The real thing to bring up about this is that reportedly after this match, based on something he said in the match, There was a legitimate fight backstage between Jungle Boy Jack Perry and everybody's favorite Chicago-made Phil. Sawyer, since you're new to wrestling, I don't know if you knew who CM Punk was, but CM Punk used to wrestle for WWE, now wrestles for AEW. Also has a bit of a attitude problem. Always kind of had. We thought it had gone away, and then it hadn't. It's still there. And so backstage, they had a fight based on, so to summarize, there's a show called Collision that's on Saturday night. CM Punk is not in charge of it, but it's kind of his show. Jungle Boy Jack Perry was going to be on that show and wanted to use real glass in his match. It's going to be a hardcore match. And CM Punk said no. Jungle Boy said, "You're not my boss." CM Punk said, "Well, it's my show." Jungle Boy said, "No, it's not. It's Tony Khan's show." They got into an altercation back there. Tony Khan later made the official rule that you could only use real glass if you had it cleared through management ahead of time to try to head that off in the future. Anyway, during this match, there was a couple spots that took place on a limo, and one of them was on the windshield glass. And Jungle Boy Jack Perry looked at that. I am getting a hard time calling him not calling him Jungle Boy. He went by that for 4 years, and now suddenly he wants us to call him Jack Perry. Anyways, Jack Perry looked at the camera and said, "Real glass, cry about it." And apparently CM Punk took issue with that. And we don't know exactly who threw the first punch, what happened exactly there, but apparently it was a pull apart backstage between CM Punk and Jack Perry over that. Almost 1 year after CM Punk got into a different fight with other wrestlers over shit that they said. Anyways, either way, this was a fine match. It wasn't my favorite match of the night, but it was fine. It did what it needed to do, and Hook won, went back. But that does indicate why when CM Punk came out in the first match of the official pay-per-view, versus Samoa Joe defending his quote, air quotes, real world championship. Storyline being he never lost the championship after last year's All Out, and it got stripped from him, and so he's still the real champion. Anyways, he looked a little angry when he first came out, not quite as hyped as you would expect him to have been. And I think that's probably because of the pull apart brawl backstage. I don't know. This match, of course, CM Punk and Samoa Joe always put on great matches. This was another one of their great matches. It wasn't the best of their matches though, but it was a good match. And in the end, CM Punk got the win with the Pepsi Plunge, got the victory, so he retains the championship, the real world's championship. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. I would expect that down the road, I don't know if they're going to do it right away or if it's going to be a few months down the road, there's going to be a unification match between the real world championship and the AEW world championship. And I literally just thought of it. Okay. August 27th, 2023. It just occurred to me. This is the story that I think they're playing. I thought they were going to have Adam Cole turn on MJF to win the world championship, or to try to win the world championship tonight. I don't think that's going to be what's happened. I think they're going to eventually have Adam Cole go challenge to be the real world champion. Finally win that from CM Punk, And then the unification match will be them versus each other. Mark it down. That's what I'm saying right now. Okay. Anyways, CM Punk got the win. Good match. Not my favorite match of the night, but a really good match. Coming up next, there's a lot of matches on this, so I'm kind of running through fast. Golden Elite versus Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Konosuke Takeshita. I was happy to see Kota Ibushi in this match get some real wrestling time. I felt bad. His introduction to AEW audiences as a whole was last pay-per-view when he was in a Blood and Guts match. Blood and Guts is, of course, the AEW's version of the War Games match. And it typically is a little bit more violent and less wrestling heavy. And I really thought that was a poor way to introduce Kota Ibushi, one of the most talented professional wrestlers in the world, to AEW audiences. Was a gimmick match like that. A trios match like this is a way better way. We got to see a little bit more of what Kota Ibushi can do. He still got to be a little crazy, but we also got to see a little bit more of him. Of course, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega are mainstays to AEW. They've been here since the beginning. They all signed new contracts with AEW recently, so they're going to be there for a long time. Omega still delivers phenomenal V-triggers. And I thought he hit a V-trigger on Juice Robinson, then followed up with a V-trigger on my man, Switchblade Jay White. And I thought they were going to win. I thought that was it. And then Konosuke Takeshita, the cheap fucking bastard, swoops in and gets a roll-up victory, holding the tights a bit, but pins Kenny Omega. That does mean, I guarantee you, on Wednesday on Dynamite, we get a match announced that's going to be Takeshita versus Kenny Omega for All In next weekend. So that's what I hope. But this was a lot higher paced match than the previous one. Of course, a lot more confusing. There were 6 men in and out of the ring. But I loved it. Of course, the Golden Elite got a huge pop. They're all well known. Jay White, Takeshita, and Juice Robinson got a pretty decent pop. There were some really great moments in this match. Might be maybe my second favorite match of the night. I don't know. We'll get to we'll think about that a little bit when we get done with all of them. But it was pretty far up there. Coming up next, we had the AEW World Tag Team match. The current champions FTR defending against the Young Bucks in what is the third match of their trios of their trilogy. Talk so much today, my throat's really dry. This I might be the sole naysayer in this one. I don't think this wasn't their best match. And I don't even think it was top 3 matches of the night. I know some of the other places like Bleacher Report will probably disagree with me. Dave Meltzer will disagree with me on that, I'm sure. But I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. It was good. It was really good. It just wasn't to the level of their previous matches or matches yet to come. But I did really like it. And all told, even the worst match on this pay-per-view, it's not this one, but even if it was this one, this was still, I thought, a really good pay-per-view. Really good. Next, we had the absolutely fucking bonkers match, the Stadium Stampede match which I was wondering how they were going to do during with a full stadium. Right. So, a stadium stampede match is effectively a no rules tag match, no rules team match, right? It originated during COVID when AEW was playing out of Daly's place, which is connected to Jaguars Stadium, but where the NFL team, Jacksonville Jaguars, play. Jacksonville Jaguars are owned by the Khan family, which Tony Khan is there. So that's their headquarters. That's where they're located from. And so during COVID, they just would play at Daly's place because they had it. Florida had weaker restrictions on COVID restrictions. So they were able to have some fans there some of the time, depending. But they had to be social distance, all this stuff. So they had a pay-per-view there, and they came up with this idea of a stadium stampede match. It was a no rules match that took up the stadium that's attached to Daly's place, the Jacksonville Stadium. And it was insane because it featured like this whole empty stadium that they could run through and do crazy stuff in. But it was an empty stadium. This one was a absolutely jam-packed 81,035 paid people in attendance. Probably another 7,000-8,000, maybe even 9,000 that were comped, or like Mercedes Money did not pay for a ticket. She was given a ticket. And with all of the people working and then wrestlers bringing their family and all that stuff, there's probably at least another 7,000 or 8,000 people there for that. So there was probably about 90,000 people in the arena as a total, but 81,035 paid tickets sold for it. Anyways, but with this being a full arena, I was kind of wondering how they were going to do it. But I think they did it really well. I mean, it was effectively just a no holds barred match. And they got to go all around the arena. They got to do crazy stuff like it was Stadium Stampede. It was Blackpool Combat Club, which is Jon Moxley, formerly known in WWE as Dean Ambrose. It was Claudio Castagnoli, formerly known as Cesaro in WWE. I'm saying this because Sawyer may have seen some of these wrestlers at some point. Santana and Ortiz and Wheeler Yuta versus Orange Cassidy, the Best Friends, Chucky and Trent, Penta, El Zero Miedo, and Eddie Kingston. Moxley brought out the skewers at one point, the bamboo skewers, and was going to try to pound them into Orange Cassidy's forehead, but instead got turned around and they got pounded into his forehead by Penta, which was crazy. There was barbed wire baseball bats. There was barbed wire on a giant plank. There were tables. There were chairs. There was a sunset flip power bomb off of a ladder. There was blood. There was definitely blood on this. And in the end, Orange Cassidy took duct tape and wrapped it inside out around his fist and then dipped that into a bucket full of broken glass and was able to deliver a couple of his orange punches and get the pin. And so Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Kingston, and Penta got the win in this match. And the best moment of it, in my opinion, the best moment was when Trent's mom, Sue, drove her white minivan up into the stadium. Actually, she was in the passenger seat because it's a British minivan. The driver's seat is on the other side. That's beside the point. And delivered cookies on trays for them that they then used the trays to beat up their opponents. It was just a crazy match. Not the best match of the night either. because it's just it was just a crazy, like, throwaway crazy match, but it was really fun. Following up, we had the AEW Women's World Championship match. That was defending champion Hikaru Shida versus prior champion Toni Storm versus prior two-time champion Toni Storm versus prior one-time champion Britt Baker DMD versus Saraya, who's from Britain. She was the home country hero on this. And I actually liked this match overall. It told some good stories. It had, everyone got a little bit of a shine in it. It featured, of course, Toni Storm and Saraya having a disagreement on who should get a pin, and a little bit of fighting back and forth, and eventually had Saraya actually spray Tony in the face with the spray paint and pin Toni Storm to win. That was probably the best way to go. I mean, she gets the home crowd pop. WWE is notorious for not wanting their wrestlers to win in their hometown or home country. AEW seems to have a little bit of a different philosophy on that they like getting that hometown pop, and that will be big. Also importantly, Saraya entered to Queen's We Will Rock You, which was really cool. More on that in a little bit, because them using licensed music is something AEW does a little bit more than others. But Saraya got the win, got to celebrate with her family. I'm kind of torn. I like the fact that Saraya got a win in her home country. I just still feel bad for Hikaru Shida because she was champion through the pandemic when there was basically nobody in the crowd. And as soon as the crowd started to come back, they chose someone else to be champion. And I felt like she never really got a good chance to shine. But she's still young, and there's still lots of time in AEW for her to win at a third time, or a fourth time. Moving on, we had the Coffin Match. Sting and Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. Before the match, they had a pre-tape with Sting and Darby Allin making their way to the arena. And they had Sting dressed in a top hat and cloak. He was Jack the Ripper Sting. He was Sting the Ripper. And I've said it before. There's one Sting. There's where's the other Sting? There's two Stings here. It's over there. There's two Sting. There's a third Sting over here, and then there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Stings all told back there. And then there's two Stings up there and another Sting there. And one of those is a little Sting. And you can't see off the camera here. There's another Sting there. Sting's my favorite. Sting is always going to be my favorite, right? He's my boy for life. And I will always be for life with Sting. I had to do a second time to make sure I got the hand motion correctly. But Sting came into this match to Metallica Seek and Destroy, which is what he used to enter in WCW for a long time too. And I fucking geeked out so bad when I first heard Seek and Destroy. I was so stoked. I will be replaying that again tomorrow while I'm at work, just so I can geek out to Seek and Destroy again. I will be like, yeah. This was, in my opinion, my favorite match, and some of it I have to say nostalgia. I get it, but it's a coffin match. The rules are first person to be able to put their opponent in a coffin and close it wins. Darby Allin is a specialty in coffin matches, although he has lost one. I just thought this was so much fun. It featured pretty much everything you wanted from a coffin match. It featured some interference. It featured a bunch of crazy bumps. It featured Sting hulking up and coming back from things. It was, I thought it was really, really good. Like I said, probably my favorite match of the night as an overall. But I'll admit that I'm biased on it and nerding out. By the way, Sawyer, Darby Allin, who wrestled in this match, who partnered with Sting, he's the guy with the skateboard in that picture on the Pro Wrestling Crate website that you were asking about. He's a current wrestler for AEW, and he's very popular. People really like Darby Allin. And he won tonight. So, next up, we had the grudge match between Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho. I say grudge match because this match was supposed to happen in New Japan 3 years ago, and then COVID happened, and it couldn't happen. It got postponed. And eventually canceled. That's why this comes along. Will Ospreay is arguably the best wrestler in the world. Some people argue Bryan Danielson is definitely up there. I would love to see a match of them head to head in like a 60-minute Iron Man match. I'd be great for it. Bryan Danielson, however, is currently injured, so could not do it. And they gave Will Ospreay Chris Jericho for this. Do I think that was the best choice? No, I do not. I think there's about 5 other people in AEW I would have preferred to see Will Ospreay against from a wrestling standpoint. Do I think this may have been the best choice for All In? Maybe. Chris Jericho plays like, here's the funny thing is, Will Ospreay was the heel for this match. Will Ospreay's the bad guy. But this was in his home country. So he's not the heel. Chris Jericho's the heel, regardless of whether Chris Jericho is supposed to be the good guy or not. Chris Jericho is the bad guy in this. Chris Jericho made that flip really well, knowing full well that Will Ospreay was going to get the rub here. Will Ospreay was going to get all of the fine, give me just 1 second. I think I got to sneeze. And then it disappeared. Maybe it'll be back. Anyways, but Will Ospreay had a great entrance. The crowd fucking loved him. Just absolutely loved him. Jericho played the heel really well. Of course, Jericho started off coming out to performing his own ring entrance, because his ring entrance theme is the song by his band called Judas that everyone loves. There was more pyro from the roof. Orange Cassidy got pyro. Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends got pyro from the roof of the stadium. That was very cool. Ospreay, like I said, was solidly the hero, even though storyline-wise, Chris Jericho should have been the good guy on this. Sammy Guevara was at ringside to help Chris Jericho. Tried to knock Will Ospreay out with a baseball bat at one point, but Will Ospreay was able to fight back and get out. There was a lot of back and forth, but in the end, Will Ospreay was able to hit a second Stormbreaker, which is his finisher, and got the win. They then teased further dissension between Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, despite the fact that Sammy Guevara has been the only person who stayed by Chris Jericho's side through the last few months. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But one thing I didn't mention, I forgot to mention this when talking about the Stadium Stampede match. There have been a few moments in this pay-per-view that hit me in my feels. So, if you're a wrestling fan, you know this week has been a rough week for us. If you're an old school wrestling fan, the week started off kind of rough on Wednesday when news came forth that Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer and legend Terry Funk had passed away. Terry Funk was in his 70s. He was more or less retired from wrestling. But he's a second generation, third generation, I think, too. Dory Funk. Anyways, wrestler. Hardcore legend. During the Stadium Stampede match, at one point, Jon Moxley used a branding iron as a weapon. Branding iron was the weapon of choice Terry Funk liked to use in his matches. Missy Hyatt used to tell the story about how Terry Funk would steal her lipstick backstage to use to put on the tip of the branding iron so that when he pressed it against someone's skin, it left a red mark. And so that was rough. Like I said, Terry Funk was also in a lot of movies, Roadhouse. His IMDb list is long. Sometimes he just took movies just to make money, or to keep his SAG card so he could stay on actors insurance, because importantly, wrestlers don't usually have insurance through their companies. They have to either get it themselves or get it through other means. And Terry Funk decided SAG was the way to do it, and it treated him well. But then the next one that really got me in my feels tonight was because what hit us on Thursday. Thursday, we got the news. It was actually Wednesday night, actually. I believe the news hit. That and it's even hard to even just talk about it. I haven't talked about it very publicly because I don't want to be one of those people who's ever accused of politicizing or trying to use this for publicity of his own. But 36-year-old WWE superstar Bray Wyatt had passed away very suddenly. He had been out with an illness, and just 5 days prior to that, I read a headline that he was cleared to return to wrestling, and his return, he was doing his training to get back into wrestling shape to return. I don't want to make this political. I don't want this to be a political statement anyway, but here's the deal, it shouldn't be political. He had a heart attack because he was out with COVID. That's why he had missed time. He'd been out since January. Right? He got COVID. And then he had complications from COVID. It aggravated an underlying heart condition that he may or may not have known about. But it was COVID that caused this heart condition to come up. And they thought he was better. And he was training for a return. And then he had a heart attack. And now he's gone. And that's why I say I don't want this to sound like I'm being political, because it's not political, man. It's not. The vaccine out there saves lives. It saves lives. And by making it a political thing to stand against the vaccine for whatever reason or whatever. Now, I don't know if Bray Wyatt was vaccinated or not. And it doesn't matter, because vaccines don't prevent all infections. There's never been a 100% effective vaccine. But what they do is slow the spread and sometimes stop the spread. And if enough people around Bray Wyatt had been infected, he might not have gotten infected. Or if they'd been inoculated, if they'd been had the vaccine, he might not have gotten infected, regardless of whether he had the vaccine or not. I've been fortunate in a personal life to have not lost anyone close to me to COVID. I unfortunately have lost people since COVID started. My mom died just over a year ago. But it wasn't due to COVID. It was due to something else. And I'm very thankful for that. I spent most of COVID worried out of my wits' end because my mom was off on her own 2 hours away from me and that she was going to get COVID and I wasn't going to be able to help it. So this isn't, I don't want to sound like I'm being a preachy guy, but there's a 36-year-old professional wrestling superstar, one of the most talented people in the business, who's not with us anymore because of COVID. Take it seriously, guys. There's a new round of it going around, a new variant that's going around. Take it seriously. Because I don't want to find out that a fan of my podcast suddenly isn't here anymore because they got COVID and died. I don't want to hear that. So take care of yourself. But that brings me to the other thing that got me verklempt. That got me all choked up. And that was the AEW Trios Championship match. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn versus the current champions House of Black during the House of Black entrance. The House of Black, of course, being composed of Malachi Black, who wrestled in WWE as Aleister Black, wrestled with Bray Wyatt, was good friends with Bray Wyatt. And Buddy Matthews, who wrestled in WWE with Bray Wyatt, was friends with Bray Wyatt, as well as Brody King and Julia Hart in the House of Black during their entrance. When normally they shut off the lights and they have this kind of swirly light pattern go across the crowd, they didn't. They shut off the lights and they let the crowd pull out their camera phones and turn the flashlight on to be Bray Wyatt's fireflies in the crowd. And then they had Buddy Matthews bring out a lantern, just like Bray Wyatt's lantern. And they set it down in front of them on the entrance ramp. And I didn't know if my body was ready for this. I didn't know if my heart was ready for this. I feel bad for a lot of these wrestlers because 3 years ago they lost Brody Lee very suddenly. Brody Lee was in the Wyatt family with Bray Wyatt. Eric Rowan, now known as Eric Redbeard, was there for his tribute show. And then Friday night on SmackDown, Eric Rowan was at WWE, where he doesn't work anymore, for the tribute show to Bray Wyatt. He's lost 2 of his best friends in the last 3 years. And it hits me. It hits me right here. And I wasn't prepared. I don't think I was prepared for this. It was a very fitting tribute. It was really good. I just didn't know if I was ready for it. I still don't know if I'm ready for it. Anyways, the match as a whole was good. I liked it. In the end, they had the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn win the trios titles. So House of Black is no longer the trios champion. We'll see what that means for them in the future, if they're going to go try to reclaim the trios championships now. If they're going to do singles matches a little bit here and there, who knows what's going to happen. But it was really good. I enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed it. And then it was time for our main event. The main event of the show, the AEW World Championship match that I talked about was set up on the pre-show. Adam Cole versus current champion MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. They came out separately. They entered to the ring separately. They had lots of teases that they were going to be at war with each other, and then before the match started, they pulled out their matching Better Than You Baby t-shirts and put them on to show that they're still best friends. And then they fought like fucking hell against each other. And there was even a false finish, a true false finish. Excuse me, almost like almost a dusty finish. Not quite a true dusty finish. And if you don't know, a dusty finish in professional wrestling is the term for when they have a match that finishes with one person as champion, one person as the winner, in some way, shape, or form, and then the match gets restarted. Now, true dusty finishes have the it usually be the challenger wins the match, has the belt, and then they say, no, you didn't win based on some technicality. We restart the match, and then the original champion wins to retain. They didn't do that with this match. And that's fine. Because we didn't need a full dusty finish on this. But they did have a moment that we haven't seen in quite some time in professional wrestling, and that was the double pinfall. Where both of them hit each other with moves, and they fell down, and their hands landed on each other. So each of them was pinning the other person. And then the referee counted a 1, 2, 3, and then was like, I don't know who won. It's a draw because I guess they both won. And when it's a draw, the belt doesn't change hands. And then Adam Cole got on the mic and said, no, this is bullshit. We need to have a real winner. Give me 5 more minutes. And MJF said, no, you don't deserve 5 more minutes. Like a heel. But then he said, you deserve to wrestle until there is a winner. Like a mega baby face. And that's what they did. They restarted the match, and they went until somebody actually won. And that somebody was MJF. He won. He beat Adam Cole, baby, to win the belt, to retain the belt. He is still the AEW World Champion. There was a lot of teasing afterwards. A lot of teasing at the end. Is Adam Cole going to turn on MJF here to win the belt? Are they going to survive together as a tag team or not? In the end, neither of them turned on each other. Neither of them tried to cheat to win. I mean, I guess there was a point they both tried to cheat to win, but they tried to cheat in the same way at the same time. It had to be seen. It was an Eddie Guerrero thing. But MJF retained, and then afterwards they hugged it out in the ring. And this was probably objectively the best match of the night. if we're not talking my nostalgia pop of Sting coming out to Seek and Destroy, this is probably the best match of the night. Yeah, I'm gonna change that. It's not even probably the best match of the night. It definitely was the best match of the night. I just have such a nostalgia pop for Sting. I will fully admit I can't look past it and be objective about that match. That match was everything I wanted it to be. 63-year-old Sting doing stuff no 63-year-old should be doing. Remsburg got hit by a Panama Sunrise at one point, which was really fun to see the ref taken out by one. In the end, I thought this was a great pay-per-view. Might even possibly be best pay-per-view of the year. I'll be able to give a full analysis after I've rewatched it tomorrow. But I really, really liked it. I really liked it. I really, really, really liked it. I don't know what else to say, man. Match of the night for me was the Sting versus Sting and Darby Allin versus Swerve and Christian. But best match of the night, MJF versus Adam Cole. But on that note, because I've done the whole review all by myself, I'm probably going to call it an early night tonight. I streamed a lot today, 5+ hours for the pay-per-view. It was a lot of streaming for that. But Sawyer, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. Hopefully come back Tuesday night when we do our wrestling game night. We'll have a lot more fun, and hopefully I'll have a bunch of co-hosts here who you can interact with as well. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close the book. Thanks for watching. Make sure to follow me on all the social medias at Raw and Order WBU, like it says under my name over there. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're watching this on. Head on over to twitch.tv and follow us there, twitch.tv/Raw and Order WBU. You can even subscribe to us there, just $5, or if you have Amazon Prime, and you're logged in on your device, you can subscribe to us through Amazon Prime for free. You get one free subscription a month, and subscriptions help us out a ton. That's a great way to support us. You can also support us by going to our merch store, where you can get things like the Autograph Finder t-shirt. We have hats, we have t-shirts, we've got Sasha Bears, all of that. So we got 2 different merch stores. Links are in the doobly-doos for that. Also tell your friends, share it with your friends. That's a great way to support us there. And like I said, on social medias at Raw and Order WB, you can find me pretty much anywhere there. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close the book for the evening. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you soon.